Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your girl, Martha D. Staub, owner of MDMC Entertainment, and we have a live episode. It's been a while since we've done a live due to schedulings and things like that. It's just been difficult, especially around this time of year, to get on a schedule where I can come live. But today is a special day. If you guys have seen, we are going to talk to the multi-talented Mike Perry. Mike, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy you said yes to this.
Well, it's great. Thanks for asking me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So for everyone that's out there that doesn't know who Mike is, Mike created a piece of art in the Power Ranger community that has just blown up. It has just been everywhere we see it. I manage Roger's social media accounts. We get tagged. Well, he gets tagged in a lot of the art. And there was a fan account in Brazil. I had to write them in Portuguese, like, "Hey, tag Mike Perry for Roger," because they didn't know who did the art. It's crazy.
Well, that's really cool. It's neat to see. Every time I see, like, sometimes I'll get a picture and they'll tag me, and it's getting signed or a fan's got it. It's always a thrill. It never gets old.
Yeah. So I mentioned to you prior to this that people have done some pretty crazy things with your art.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see?
Yeah, I'd love to see. That'd be cool.
I think you've seen this one. This is courtesy of Space Ranger 335 on Instagram.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I think he's the #1 Power Rangers in Space fan in the world. He's got a complete collection. He's even got the display for the Astromorphers, which is that's a deep dive into Power Rangers lore. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, this piece, and this wasn't I think these were the pieces of the mega banner. I don't think this was the whole banner.
Yeah. The whole banner is. I've only made a few of them. It's really cost prohibitive to produce and ship. So that's why the way I designed it is, you can get 6 individual prints, and then they combine just like all the different Zords into one mega print, right? And maybe if you're only a fan of one of the characters, then you only need the one, right? And then if you want to get all, you can get all 6. So.
Right. And backstory on this. So I got tasked with traveling to Kelowna, Canada, which is where you're from, correct?
I live just outside of Kelowna, but yeah.
Okay. So when I got this assignment, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I get to take the In-Space Rangers. I love all of them. They're like family. We've gotten so close over the years, and I work with them quite frequently. And so when we got out there, I was like, yes, this is going to be fun. And then we met you. Then we saw these amazing banners. And I'm like, holy crap, like, I need this in my life. And, I wasn't anticipating buying anything there, but I bought it because it was dope. There's a picture of you from Kelowna. This is courtesy of Tracy Lynn Cruz's Instagram account. Yeah, that banner is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they were so kind, and it's always a thrill to meet these people, meet the actors, and they really enjoyed the artwork, and it was very gratifying, like, I'm a fan first, and I made this piece because I'm a fan, and they were also nice, and they signed it, and then I have it signed. I still haven't framed it myself. It's so big. It's kind of an awkward piece to frame, but it's definitely been a highlight for me. I always enjoy seeing this picture. It's a little embarrassing. I think I'm wearing the same shirt now than I was wearing in that picture.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, that's kind of funny.
Oh, that's great though. I love it. It's great. So unfortunately, Roger couldn't make it. I was working with Roger at the time, and he could not make the trip up to Canada. And I told him, I said, you have to see this thing. And he was like, let me see this. What are you talking about? And I said, well, you need to look at it, but you also need to sign it too. And he said, okay, Roger's so sweet with me. It's mine, courtesy of my Instagram account. He just loved it. So
yeah, I remember, I think I saw that too. You guys have been great to tag me and everything. So whenever it does pop up in the wild or it's at a convention and someone signs it, if I get tagged, it's, it's really great to see. And it's really nice that he enjoyed it so much. It's too bad he couldn't come up. And I'm still holding on to mine. Part of the reason why I don't want to frame mine is someday I want to, go and see him and get him to sign it, and maybe get the whole cast. I know. I think I saw a picture of him with Justin Nemo and Pink Ranger Patricia, and she got her to sign theirs, so they have a complete cast. I think Justin even got the actors who played Bulk and Skull to sign it, and Zordon and everybody. So and Melody Perkins.
Yeah, I totally did the same. Paramorphicon. Justin actually lost a banner that he takes with him to shows, and so in the back, what he did was he pinned your banner on the back behind him. So that was his banner. And so people were like, "Holy crap, where is this from?" I was so pissed because I knew they were going to go see Patty, and I was like, "Damn it! Why didn't I give you my poster so you can have her sign it?" So, I've been in communication here and there. We'll see if Patty makes a resurgence. We were working on something earlier, but she's a firefighter in the LA area, and around that time there's a lot of really bad fires. So she is 100% a career woman. She's dedicated to her craft. So I don't know if she'll be on conventional scenes anytime soon, because she's just so devoted.
Well, that's totally fair. And we'll just hold out hope that someday we'll get a complete Megaprint autograph.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I haven't framed it either, because I'm like, all right, guys, like we should, we need to go stop by and see her. Just drop in real quick and say hi.
Hi, nice to see you. Oh, here, sign this. Okay.
Yeah. I've had fans actually reach out to me and they say, "Hey, you know her?" And I'm like, I don't like to talk about her because I really don't want people to know exactly my length of communication there. I'm like, why? And they're like, "We'll give you money. Can you please get her to sign this?" I was like, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. You want to keep that professional and personal relationship separate for everybody's sake. And I always kind of find it interesting. You would hear stories anecdotally, especially back in the day when people would mail something to, say, a celebrity's agent or somewhere. I mailed it off, and then it got signed, and then it came back. And I've always been curious, how does that actually work? Like, is there like a representative, and it goes there, and then over time it goes here, and then they sign it, then it comes back? Like, I wouldn't even know how that would work, right?
Well, like with Roger's website, for example. So I have the inventory here. He pre-signed it, right? And so anytime something goes through, I do it for him. He's too busy. This man he works from like 7 in the morning to like 2 in the morning, and then he goes back at it again. Like, he's just insane. And so we've set it up to that point, but if there's something that needs to be customized or it's personalized for some reason, then I have to go see him.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Hey, can you please sign this?" And he's like, yeah. And I said, "Here's the order form." And all of the money, like any of the payments, go directly to his bank account. Like, I don't touch any of that. I made it to a point where, and that's why people like to work with me, because I make it seamless for them. I'm like, I'm not touching any money. I'll send out your stuff. I'm obviously not back here selling stuff on the side or anything. So, just to keep it simple that way. I know a lot of agents, they'll probably have like a stack somewhere of signed stuff that they'll probably send out to fans or something.
Yeah, it's very curious, just getting a hold of these people. Now with social media, it's a lot easier. They can reach out and send a message, and who knows, you might actually hear back from the person you're trying to contact, which is really kind of nice. It's very personal and special. But other times, they're so busy. They're people too. They've got real jobs. They're not always acting anymore and doing this stuff. And the volume, I imagine the volume of requests to get signatures, or even just with weird questions, must be, pretty time consuming.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, the thing is like, in this day and age, fans don't seem to know their boundaries. And I've experienced this.
What?
Yeah.
Boundaries?
I've experienced this quite a bit. And some people, I don't know. I guess some people may not realize it, but a lot of the actors' accounts are not managed by the actor. You know, in our case, you know, Roger and I both manage it. And I remember there was a Christmas, I think it was last year or the year before. There was a fan who was talking to Roger, and Roger was talking back. And of course, I saw the notifications. And all of a sudden, we're getting video calls. And this guy kept calling and calling and calling. I was like, okay. And I had to step in. And Roger's like, I'm with family. It's Christmas Eve. And I had to step in, and I'm like, yo, I want you to know this account is managed by 2 people. Stop calling. You know, obviously, we won't do that. You know, if you want to get something social, go to Cameo. But we're not doing these FaceTime things. Like, that's just not. And so we had to disable that feature because fans don't know their limitations.
Yeah. Also, there's so many other considerations now because you're dealing with a global fan base, you know, different language barriers, cultural barriers, all these different things. And I know I communicate with people a lot with social media, and sometimes you'll get, you know, the oddest request, or, you know, they'll say something and you're not really sure you understand what they're actually trying to tell you, or, you know, is this spam? Is this legitimate? I don't know. And it's a real time sink. Social media is a real challenge for creatives, at least for me. I mean, it's a real important part of a business to market with people and to get your work out there and share it. But like I said before, it's such a time sink. You can really spend a whole day doing it, or even if you have it and you want to monitor it during your day. For me, you know, say if I'm working on an illustration, you really have to get it's a mental exercise. You have to focus, right? And if you keep getting your focus broken, it just interrupts your day, your flow, and the work suffers. And it's one of those things. So some people are pretty disciplined that I know who, you know, I'll only do half an hour a day, or I only do it between these times. And I don't know. For me, I don't always want to be staring at my phone, but it ends up being like that sometimes.
Yeah, it's super. And I know that with Roger too, like he'll jump in and look at stuff and then go away. And then sometimes he'll actually interact with people. I don't deal with these messages. The only time I interfered was when my phone's going off when someone's calling. I'm like, no, like, you know. But let's get to know you. Are you a full-time artist? Like, is this your bread and butter, your full-time thing?
Yeah, I am full-time. I've been freelancing I think for 20 years now. I got my first gig when I was 19. And now I work mostly as a storyboard artist. So I do storyboards for advertising firms. I also do concept art, do book covers, magazine. I've done it all over the years as a freelancer, basically. You name it, I've probably done it. I've done architectural illustration. I've done historical illustration. I've done, you know, I haven't done a lot of children's book stuff. I've done a bit of humorous things here and there. I like entertainment work myself, so I do, you know, right now I'm doing mostly character design for video games, and you know, the storyboards for advertising that keeps me busy. So yeah, that's my 9 to 5.
That's awesome. I think that's great when someone can find their passion and just turn it into their full-time job.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I never take it for granted. I always pinch myself, and you know, I'm lucky to be doing this. And I mean, I didn't always, like, from my first job to where I am now. I mean, I did have to pay my dues and work an office job for a long time, you know, while I was getting established in my career. And there's a point with I think a lot of freelancers where either you keep going or you give up, right? And I just kept going, and as you get more established, it gets a little easier, you know, and then over time you build up a client base, and then before you know it, you can get rid of your day job and then focus full time on your freelancing, and then, you know, things just keep going from there, right? So I'm lucky enough, I'm at a place in my career where I'm established and I'm getting steady work, and you know, it's I'm living the dream.
Yeah. I was actually because you know MDMC has been around since 2015, 14 as a side gig, and I wish I had at that time devoted more time to it, because I just got unexpectedly let go, and then I was pushing. Like, I remember actually Javier, Tracy Lynn Cruz's husband, said, now that you're free, you should probably start your business. And I was like, no, I need a paycheck. I need this, I need that. And then, I was unemployed for about 233 days. And I got a job with, I guess she was like a coach, like a marketing coach, a business coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was a weird job. And then I was like, I'm out. I got to go do this on my own because, finding that sweet spot of working on things that you love and enjoying it, that's hard to find.
It is. It's interesting point. A lot of people who aren't self-employed, who don't have their own businesses, don't really understand is it's really hard to turn it off. You are the business. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you take your breaks, and if you work from home, you're always at work. So it's a real mental exercise daily, working for yourself. It's very rewarding, but there's a lot of challenges to it too. And I think it's great, and I wouldn't trade it for world. Going back into, let's say if I worked in a studio setting, I think it would be really tough for me to adapt. And, I'm on my own time. I make my own schedule. I think I work harder for myself than I did for, when I was in a studio or when I worked in an office. So it's all the rewards are yours. It's great, but what is the point of trying to make here? I understand where you're coming from.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's what people think it is.
Hard. Sometimes you'll meet people who think it's just roses. You work at home and that's great, but it's a lot of work, and I work a lot of evenings and weekends,
Oh, yeah.
When you get a call, you have to jump on it. You can't just, I'll deal with it on Monday, right? They'll just move on to the next person. So you have to be on it.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's one of those things, like usually I'm up pretty early around 8, and then I work, and then by the time the husband comes home, I turn it off for a little bit, give him a couple hours, and then I'm back on it, probably up until midnight, 1 o'clock, and then I do it all over again. And it's it's not a normal schedule, but I'm just the absolute happiest I've ever been in my life. I work way more, but I am so much happier. Isn't that weird?
No, it's not weird. I mean, when your job is your hobby, when you're doing it, it doesn't feel like work.
Much, it's just such a breeze.
So totally on the same page. The only challenge I find sometimes is because I draw and paint for a living, I don't do it in my spare time. I don't do it for a hobby. I don't do it to enjoy things. Like if I'm out and about, my wife, she's a painter as well, and we keep thinking, well, let's go for do some plein air painting exercises, or let's go do this, and it's like I do that all day. I don't really want to do that at home, or in my spare time. I want to do something else. So it's kind of forced me to explore other creative outlets, but it does make me a little sad sometimes because I don't draw for fun anymore. I don't always do that kind of thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. So when did you realize that you loved art and wanted to pursue it?
Probably ever since I was a kid. I was always drawing. It was always my thing. And I remember distinctly in about the 7th or 8th grade, that's when I kind of realized I wanted to go on to art school after, high school. And kind of just locked on to that. And that was sort of my goal ever since. And I just kept at it. So yeah, my whole life, basically, I knew I wanted to be an artist. I think the biggest challenge is, and a lot of artists might agree with me, parents didn't understand. They're like, how can you make a career as an artist? And a lot of people don't understand that it can be a viable, rewarding career. There's that starving artist stereotype that you have to overcome, and you have to explain to people, and try going to the bank for a loan to get your mortgage and explain to them, I'm an artist. They just, they don't get it, right?
Yeah, I'm actually about to face that too, because we're considering buying a home, and I'm just like, how am I going to explain to them that I'm a business owner, and like that there is equity here because I am it. Like, how do you make that case? It's kind of funny.
Well, I'm not sure what it's like down in the States, but here in Canada, it's challenging, right? Like they want to look at your numbers, like any business, but because you're self-employed, I don't know, they do their calculations and they perceive that there's more risk just because you're self-employed. My mom was self-employed. My dad was self-employed. It's just the way we are in our family. You know, I always grew up around that. So I didn't realize the challenges of that side of it, seeing my parents, you know, how they dealt with things. But it is harder to qualify for mortgage. You can't get better interest rates. You do have to provide more collateral. There's all these other hoops you have to jump through when you're self-employed, at least up here. And again, when you're an artist, it's easier to say, "Oh, I'm self-employed. I'm a plumber." They get it. Everyone knows what a plumber is, right? Mm-hmm. When you say, "Oh, I'm a self-employed illustrator," they just scratch their head, and the bank they don't get it. You can show them evidence of your work, who you've worked with, and how long you've worked, but it doesn't compute, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, same with yourself, your business. I'm not sure how you would even explain that to the bank. I mean, you're in there's a lot of entertainment business in Southern California there, so I imagine they're probably more familiar with it than maybe up here in Canada. But I wish you luck.
Well, it's great because, you know, I am a digital marketing agency, so I work primarily in entertainment, but not really, because I can also work in other industries. Like right now, my biggest client is not in entertainment, but they're paying the bills, the lights, the roof, everything. But, you know, I have clients like that, you know, I have worked in other industries already, so it's just easy for me to just jump into these. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why my tagline is. What was that?
I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, I said that's one of the reasons why our tagline is entertainment and beyond, because we do things beyond entertainment, and just, you know, we like to keep it versatile. You know, we do, you know, anything that any other marketing agency we can do as well. So it's, you know, I think it might be an easy sell, but, you know, just bring your QuickBooks with you, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, marketing, advertising, doesn't really matter what industry you're selling it or you're working in. It's important, right? And even a bank needs to market and advertise. So I mean, they should be able to get that. It probably just depends on how you phrase it and who you're dealing with. Younger people, I don't want to stereotype, but, you know, they understand technology a bit more. They understand how things work. If you're dealing with, say, a little more old-fashioned kind of person who just doesn't get it, you know, that might be more of a challenge. I've experienced that myself, so I can only say based on that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, talking about that's one part about my end of the business that a lot of people don't, and a lot of junior artists don't really get a chance to learn about, is how to run a business. You know, it's not as simple as picking up a stylus and creating art. You know, that's maybe 40% of the job. Yeah, right. 60% of the job is, you know, marketing, invoicing, you know, networking with clients, building relationships, that kind of thing. There's a lot more to it, and I wish there were more opportunities for your junior artists to learn that, and places where they can go and get real information. You know, you can read a little bit about it online, but it's mostly pretty vague. You know, maybe there's not a lot of resources where they sort of spell it out for you. And communicating with people, you know, like this conversation here, it's a pretty important part of any business, building relationships, talking to people, telling them about yourself and learning about them. That is something that a lot of artists I've met, just, it's not in their wheelhouse, and they struggle with it, and it's a real detriment to their career advancement. So,
well, you've been doing it really well pre-COVID, because you were at Kelowna. I didn't know if you were in the. Okay, so I met you in 2017. You had a booth at Kelowna Comic-Con, and then I'm assuming you went back the following year, because Jorgito and, oh God, I forget who else went that year. It was the year I couldn't make it. But you have constantly been going to shows prior, right?
Well, I don't go to a lot of shows, but the Kelowna one, I was a guest artist there, and then I went to the one where Jorgito was there. I can't remember the year. So Kelowna, you know, I've done that one. I've done the Calgary Comic Expo. I did that for 10 years in a row, and that's the second largest one in Canada. And I lived in that town at the time, so it was easy and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I don't tend to do a lot of conventions. It's great as a marketing tool. It's not a real great moneymaker unless you
Right.
make it a business. I've met several artists, and that's all they do is just travel from con to con to con, and they can do quite well. But you have to make it your business model to if you're going to work the con scene aggressively. So, yeah, the Kelowna Con was great. It was great fun. It's nice being part of the community and getting to know people. Like I like the social end of it myself. Like meeting people, talking to fans. I was able to meet you, and that's the best part for me. Selling stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I truly missed it. Gosh, this COVID sucks.
Yeah. Well, I imagine you get to go to a lot of really interesting ones. Like you're in San Diego, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it says San Diego right by your name. I mean, the Comic-Con, that's the biggest one in the world, right? Like, I've never been. I'd really like to go someday. I imagine that's just got to be amazing experience.
It's funny was because I had never been to a Comic-Con before, and when we moved here, I didn't realize how hard it was to get tickets. And so the following year we were able to, and then when we saw San Diego Comic-Con, we're like, wow, this is massive. And we started meeting people, and we kind of just fell in love with the Comic-Con scene. That the thing that got me was I saw that big companies like Warner Brothers and Fox and everyone. I was working for a remodeling company, and I was doing trade shows, and I said, "This is a trade show for nerds. I could live here." And I figured out a way to get into it, and then that's kind of what I did. The last con I did was with Roger, Nemo, and Chris in Brooklyn. We went and did that show out there, and that was it. And then COVID happened, and that was done. So it was just, I love the opportunity to go to new places, meet new people, and just, that networking thing. It has to be there. If not, you're just going to stay put.
Yeah, I hope that continues post COVID. We still do a lot of these shows, and we still have opportunity to. There's been virtual conventions and that sort of thing, but I mean, to meet someone face to face, to spend time with them, to talk to people, you can't replace that. There's no real. I don't know. For me, I don't see the digital experience replacing that, and I like to go there and touch things, pick them up, and get involved. And I'd like to come down, like I said, to San Diego. And there's Seattle's not too far from here, so I wouldn't mind going down. I think it's WonderCon is what there's.
Emerald City Con.
Oh, okay, yeah. There we go, Emerald City. I want to go there and see what that's all about.
Vancouver has a good one too. I think it's Vancouver Expo.
Yeah, I haven't been to the Vancouver one myself. It's not in my the time of year it happens just never really works, and they kind of balance it. And for me, it was either go to the Calgary one or go to the Vancouver one. And I have family back in Calgary, so it's an easier choice because then it's sort of visit the family, have somewhere to stay, and do the show.
I think you really need to be at Paramorphicon if it happens in June of 2021, because you have some amazing pieces. Can we go through your Instagram real quick and see what you're talking about? Hold on a second here. I love the recent thing you just did with. Let's see here real quick. Chrome chat. Was it this one? Oh, speaking of which, people really want another mega print. There's a survey out. They want to know which one they want next from you. How does that make you feel?
Flattered. That's great. I didn't know there was a survey out. That makes me feel pretty special. It's a lot of work, and I guess if I felt there was enough of a demand, I wasn't aware there was a survey, but if there's enough of a demand, then I would definitely consider doing it.
Let's see what
I guess it would depend on the season of Power Rangers too, because I'm more about older stuff. The newer shows I'm not as familiar with, but to do a project like this, I guess I would. If I knew there was more interest, then I would definitely look.
Yeah, it says here, name 3 Power Ranger teams you'd love to see Mike Perry do mega prints of. And so you got Zeo, Mighty Morphin, Light Speed, Dino Charge, Ninja Storm, MMPR, Wild Force, Lost Galaxy. Oh gosh,
they're all there. Which one to choose from?
Yeah, it's hard because oh gosh, I don't even know. It's hard to say. But,
go ahead.
But I picked the wrong one. I was actually trying to get to your actual account, but I had that one pulled up. I was going to ask you about it. But you do fantastic drawings. This is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
this.
Gosh. Like I said, I've been drawing my whole life, and it's my favorite thing to do. So a lot of the stuff I put on my Instagram page is stuff I do for myself. Not so much like the storyboard work that I do. A lot of it I can't share because of NDAs, and you can't actually show it till 6-8 months afterwards. And a lot of advertising stuff is spots for colon testing commercials or the odd products, and that's not really very entertaining. So I try to stick to stuff that I'm interested in, some of my favorite pieces, and like we're looking at these Power Ranger character sketches I did.
These are recent. I saw these, and it's funny because I woke up one morning and Roger sent me his, and he's like, "Oh my God, look at this!" And I was like, "Holy shit, Mike is at it again!" And I was like, "That's cool." And then I started to see everyone else's, and I was like, "Man, that's so neat."
Yeah, well, it's funny. I did the one of Tracy earlier this year, and I meant to go back and do the whole cast. I just, got distracted. I'm kind of, I start lots of projects, and then, and then I forget about one. I start another one, and then I come back, and so this one's always been on my. It's been in the back burner, and I'm going to finish it. I have some downtime between jobs, so I just started doing characters, and they're all images from reference, right? And just kind of, in the case of this, I'm kind of playing around with different techniques. I use a lot of these painting techniques in my storyboard work, and I'm always kind of looking at new ways to be faster, quicker, better, and instead of doing studies of, I don't know, something else I do, I kind of try to, I'm doing these Power Ranger pieces, like 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm doing, some fan art for me, but also working on improving my craft, and, just having a bit of fun while I'm working. So that's what these guys are here.
And Roger totally did this, not me. That was him. Because I didn't know about it until he sent it to me. I was like, oh my God, like, these look better than what they were based off of,
Like the rest?
This is amazing.
Yeah, that was I had that idea. It's been in my head for years now, and Tony having a Hamlet moment with one of his helmets. So I had some downtime, and I just started doing it. I really enjoy doing likenesses. A lot of what I do for storyboarding is celebrity likenesses. So it's a big part of the job, and I like movie posters, and I'd like to do more movie poster work. So when I have time to do pieces on my own for myself, this is the type of thing I like to do. And I'm a big nerd. What can I say?
Yeah. So do you remember what is your first big, favorite nerdy thing that you loved growing up, or the first thing that you remember?
Well, I'm a kid. I'm an 80s kid, so Transformers, G.I. Joe. I loved that stuff when I was a kid. I ate it up. I was the kid that had, Transformers comic books, Transformers toys, Transformers. I watched the cartoon, all that stuff. So definitely those were a big influence. He-Man, that kind of thing. Really, really just started a fire in my imagination, and it never went away. I never really grew up. Even my kids, I make them watch old He-Man episodes, and they know the difference between 2018 She-Ra and 1986 She-Ra, and it's I'm just a big kid at heart, and that's what's started me on my artistic journey, and it that set me on my path for life, more or less.
Yeah. So then you watched Power Rangers when it first started, then, correct?
Well, Yeah, I see. When Power Rangers came out, I was, probably a little too old to be. I was a little older. It was '93, so didn't really come to Canada till a little later.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the 10th grade, so I was a little older. But I remember being over at a girlfriend's house, and her little brother was watching it, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's pretty cool. Look at those dinosaurs! Oh my!" It's like I was a kid again, or a little younger, and I was really, whenever they called on a Megazord or a Zord to come out, and then they combined. It just thrilled me, even as a kid, right, or a young person, whatever. It thrilled me to see that, and I just thought it was so cool. But back then, being a nerd or being interested in those types of things, it wasn't cool. It wasn't popular, so you'd always be kind of really cool, but I don't want to talk about it at school. So
You know,
I'd sit with. Go ahead.
you know what's really funny is I was I think I was about fourth or fifth grade. So my mom and dad actually got me the official Power Ranger box. I don't know if you remember that, the official fan club. And so
I know of it, but I wasn't. I didn't see it back in the day.
so I got made fun of a lot for being a
Mhm.
Power Ranger fan and for having the little lunch pail that came with it and stuff. And it got to a point where I couldn't wear my Power Ranger shirts anymore. I couldn't walk around with my lunch pail anymore. And so and eventually I went to school in a very, very poor part of the city because my mother was a teacher's associate. So, I had to go where she was. But it's so funny because all those kids have grown up and some of them have seen me either, I'm not sure how this has happened, but I started to get messages and friend requests, and they're like, "Hey, you work with Power Rangers." I was like, "You hated me for walking around with a T-shirt." Nope.
They're
No.
just jealous. They're just jealous.
You don't get these hookups. No, 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 no. And
You
so,
took your fandom as a kid and then turned it into a career. That's pretty cool.
and that's what it's so funny because when I go back home, that's the first thing people say. It's like, "Oh my God, you work with Power Rangers." I was like, "Hello, you were mean to me." I'm like, what do you want now? Like, it's so funny. My mom said she ran into somebody, and she was like, this guy says hi, and I said, why? And then she's like, "Oh, he knows you work for Power." I was like, "No, don't talk to that dude again."
It's really funny because there was such a stigma back then for nerds, geeks, right? And now it's such a big part of our culture, And I was even talking about this with my wife today, and it's weird. It's weird for me, to be honest. Like I'm a big fan. I'm a big nerd. I love it all, but it's
Yeah.
still weird for me that it's so popular and socially acceptable, right? And I mean, it's great. It's just, you grow up, things are this way, and now they're this way, and then you're just kind of okay. I guess I got to adapt, But the I, it's great being a fan nowadays. People everyone's so open, everyone's so cool. There's so much more out there and so much more information. It's a lot of fun. But then you can be too much of a fan, and then just it can consume everything. There's so much more. Like so I was more into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before Power Rangers came out, and back then I think that was the first time where, I mean, there was always the Star Wars stuff, right? But Ninja Turtles for me, like you could get everything. You get the toothbrush, you could get the whatever, and Power Rangers kind of went with that, and there was so much more. It's amazing how much stuff there is now, which is great as an artist because there's more products I can work on and try to get artwork on. Licensing is crazy.
I have not showed you my collection. I'll show it to you after this.
Okay, sure. Love to see it.
Massive. It is full of everything. Yeah, it's nuts.
Okay, like what are you collecting? Like just.
Well, it's funny because my husband he's very into the Power Rangers, so we have Power Ranger things, action figures, and things like that. And then we've gotten into all the Funkos, and so now I have 3 bookshelves in my living room full of there's a Power Ranger helmet, there's Funkos, there's wrestling action figures. There's so much crap. Like it's all mint too. It's all in boxes. It's funny.
Oh, it's tough. The toys are so cool. They're so much better than they were back in the day, right? And,
right.
you look at them and there's collectors. I have a good buddy who he's like the biggest Power Ranger collector I've ever known, seen, or could imagine. And he would have them all in these boxes and then in glass cabinets. And there's a part of me that's like, they need to be played with though, like they need to see those things get played with. And they're so great. They have so much more posability. And, I have some nephews, and their mom won't let them watch Power Rangers because she's afraid. She thinks they're a little violent. And it breaks my heart. I'm like, no, like they're great. That's fun, and for Christmas, I want to send them some Power Ranger toys, but they're not into it. They're more into Lego and Ninjago and all that stuff. But it's a shame because the toys are so much more fun now than back in the day.
I remember looking for a Dragon Dagger when I was younger. I remember wanting to be in karate, even though I was in ballet. It's weird how something like pop culture can influence your day to day. Want to, maybe it pushes you in a way to be better. I don't know. It's funny.
Why not? I mean, it's okay. I mean, it brings you joy. What's wrong with that? I pop culture's been a major influence on my life, and I embrace it. It's why not? I guess there's a line you don't want to cross, but
right.
No, I think it's great, and I try to encourage my kids too. If it's something that they're interested in, just keep it going, and try to incorporate it into whatever. Like right now, my kids are really into Avatar. They love Legend of Korra, and like, okay, let's get you a Legend of Korra coloring book. Let's go, and keep them busy or whatever. That's what worked for me, and I don't know. I'm rambling now. So.
No, I mean, like my dad was, he's the one who introduced me into the geekdom. I remember just being into Batman and Superman very early, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and like the way I don't know, he was just my gatekeeper. He just showed me all these really cool things, and it was probably one of the best things ever, and it's so funny because I had after I had gone to LA Comic-Con at one point, I was promoting an indie movie that I had worked on, and I was doing a day-to-day, and I remember I was, and it's so funny, this actual conversation, it'll be 5 years today here soon, but me and my friend were talking about where we wanted to see ourselves in 5 years, and I remember saying, man, I just want to go to a Comic-Con every weekend and do marketing and have fun. And then she talked about what she wanted to do, and someone overheard it, and it went to the owner. And the owner called me in the office and he says, "Why are you talking crap about my company?" I said, "I never said that. We're talking about our 5-year plan." Mm-hmm. And he was like, "What's your 5-year plan?" I said, "What you heard. I want to go to Comic-Con every weekend and do marketing." And I'll never forget it. I hope one of these days I win an award so I can just crush this dude. But he says, "You need to grow up. You need to grow up. You're never going to make it in entertainment marketing. You're never going to make it in this field. You just need to, get with the times and just grow the fuck up." And I was like, "Well, sir, that is your opinion." And I remember I just walked out, but I bawled my eyes out. I was like, "Am I nuts to really be thinking this way?" But I was like, "Hell no, I'm not going to do it." So it's nuts.
Yeah, well, I hope you win that award and you can show up one day and be like, "Look at me, look what I got," and I don't know. Live your best life, right? Do the best you can, and there's always going to be guys like that who.
Oh yeah, I let karma take care of it. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like hearing the stories about. You're saying how you spent time with your dad, and it was sort of your gateway into these things, and that's one thing I really like when you go to these shows. I get to meet people and hear their stories, and so I have this Predator illustration I did years ago, and it never fails to start a conversation with somebody. Like everybody loves that movie, right? At one time, I always remember this. It was really cool because this lady bought a print, and she told me how it was a Christmas tradition to watch Predator with her dad, and I remember going, like, that's really cool, but it's a Christmas movie, like what, and no, it was great. And she told me all about it and how much joy it brought her, made her think of her dad. And it's great. I love hearing that stuff. And I like how it's just a gateway for us to connect with each other, right? Like you could meet, it's great. I could go to Morphicon, right? And there's all these other people who love the same thing, right? And it doesn't matter where they're from or what they like or anything about them. We all have one thing in common, and then we can just, bond on that. It's great. That's what I think the best part about fandom and pop culture is it creates that sort of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
It's like a safe space, it's so cool. And I think, I actually do have a New York division to this company that has their own show. They interview entrepreneurs as well. I met them through a Power Ranger group that we were in, and we met at Power Morphicon, and then we just became friends. And then when I go to New York, I see them. It's weird how something like that grew into something beyond that, like they're like family now, that's been going 4 years now.
It's not that big of a community when you think about it. Like, I mean, there's millions of fans, but the internet's made the world a small place. And like that, you showed me the picture of Space Ranger 335, his display, right? And I'd already seen it before, and I've talked to him privately before, and like I know who he is, and I guess he sees my face now, he knows who I am. But it's like, like, oh, I know that guy, and I know what they're up to, and people, like, it's a small community, and you start to build and get to know the fans, and that's pretty cool. I think it's nice, especially now when we're all at home. It's one more thing to you can relate to people and communicate with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just incredible. I look back at my life, and looking back 5 years ago, I would have never imagined that, I had to fend off people from back home from talking to me because of this, and, it's surreal, the fact that you get to do what you love and work with people you admire and never thought you'd work with. I send pictures to my mom all the time. She's like, how did this happen? And it's funny, I found a picture of something I drew of, how the Power Rangers, the MMPR, they would, it was like 3 on the bottom and then the 2 girls on the top, and then they would, I forget what they did with the blasters, but I drew that at age 8. I put down the date, and my mom was like, you should have all these guys sign this because you made this at 8. And I said, I know, I should.
You still get starstruck when you meet all these people?
No, I try not to, because it makes them uncomfortable. When you go into this, you try to go in and be professional, and I don't want to be like that person that makes it weird. So, random story. I was in the car going to a show in Missouri, and I was there with Mindy Sterling from Austin Powers. I don't know if you know her. She was Frau.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
She's fantastic. I love her pieces. And so her and I were in this car, and we had another guy from Stargate, and the guy next to me, Mindy and the guy behind was like, oh, we're so sorry about your dad, and you lost him. He was such an icon. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I had no clue. I just met him, hey, what's up, David? How are you? He was Dom DeLuise's son, David DeLuise.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, shit. Like, you work with Selena Gomez. I was like, oh, okay. And so I try not to, I don't like to look ahead of it, especially if it's someone I don't know. I don't want to look ahead to see what they've done. I just want to be, professional and, so I don't act stupid.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got to be someone that you'll meet someday and just be, for me, I get starstruck. It's I don't know why. I can talk to anybody. I've done lots of sales, but it's just certain things. Like so years ago, I did an Aliens print at a Comic-Con. They had a reunion of the whole cast from Aliens, and so Carrie Henn, the little girl who played Newt, I met her. Her husband came and talked to me, and then she came to my booth, and we got a picture and everything. And I just, it's funny. I'll meet a celebrity like I met her, and I just was, something in my brain just snapped, and it was funny how that is. When I met the Power Rangers in space, I had to clamp it down, like just be cool, don't think about it. It's all good. And they were all so nice to me, and it was great, and made it totally diffused whatever tension I might have had, and it was great. But yeah, it's funny when I can meet certain people and I'm totally cool, and then I'll meet someone I saw on TV 20 years ago, and then my brain shuts off. It's
Yeah.
not purposeful, but I guess if you do it, you do it so often, your brain might be numb to that kind of input.
Well, it's funny. I actually avoided meeting Joey because I ran out of money.
Mm-hmm.
But I've with him since I guess middle school, since I first saw Power Rangers in Space. And I passed by his table a couple of times, but I didn't want to go be that fan that's like, I'm a really big fan, but I have no money to buy anything. I usually try to go to a table with an intent to support whoever I'm meeting, because I don't want to be that fan. And I think it was like 3 months later, we ended up working together, and I told him that story. I said, I didn't want to meet you because I didn't have any money. It's like, we could have totally met and it would have been great. And I was like, oh, it's fine. And then so when we actually met for the first time in person, it was just like, we had known each other for a while. But that's the one. He's one I was like, he looks fantastic, but I can't go over there. I can't. He knows. He's been my lucky charm, actually. He's an entrepreneur himself. And when I was getting into this, I would call him and I'm like, hey, do you have any advice about this or this or this? And I would start talking about my goals, and for some reason they manifest. And I was like, yo, you're my lucky charm. And he said, why? And I said, look, I got this client, I got this and this. And so every time I call, he's like, oh, what's going on? Do you need some more luck? And I was like, oh, yeah. So it's cool. We have that relationship. It's really sweet.
That's pretty cool. It's really nice that you're able to become friends, from what your first experience was to now. He's just someone you can call on the phone. That's pretty special.
I don't. There was a time. It was like 11 o'clock Pacific. He's in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He called me around midnight, and I picked it up because I was like, "What the hell? Something's going on." No one gets a call at midnight. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "For some reason, I had to call you. There was something telling me to call you. Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we just kind of just sat there, and I was just like, "Oh, that's so sweet of you. Like, I'm good, but I don't know why that happened, but it was weird. But that's just the level of where we are in our friendship. It's just he's always just been such a big support, and I try not to bug him too much because he's busy, but he's been a great friend. Like I said, I've gotten close to all of these guys. The In Space crew, I never would have thought I would get this close. It's just crazy.
That's cool. That's nice though, and also, yeah, I don't know what I was going to say there, but that's great. Good for you.
Yeah. So, do you have any big projects coming up that might put the internet on fire when you release it or something?
It sounds like the internet wants me to make a mega print, so maybe the wheels are kind of going in the back of my head now, thinking about that. Big projects. I mean, I've got work projects that I can't talk about because of stuff, but and hopefully I got one big one that, fingers crossed, it all kind of comes together, and then I'll be pretty busy with that for a while. Personal projects, I'm having fun doing these Power Ranger quick studies, like you showed earlier. So I have a few more I'm working on, and a buddy of mine who I met actually. So with that Kelowna Comic-Con that we met at, I met another Power Rangers fan, and he's become my best friend. And we talk all the time, every day we talk about something or other. And so him and I, he has written a script for a Power Rangers in Space kind of story, and so I'm kind of working on a comic book based on that, just a couple of pages. So that's a personal project that him and I are working together, just as fans, having fun, and all because of Power Rangers in Space. I made a great friend, and so I guess that's one personal project you can look forward to seeing on my Instagram. Now that I've said it out loud, I got to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the mega print. I forget, how long did that take you to create?
Maybe a month. A long time. Not 6 weeks, I guess. I mean, spread out because I have other projects I'd have to work on, but it's a lot. I mean, was a lot of rendering, a lot of drawing. The hardest part about working on that mega print was references, because everything was shot 1998. It's like it was all shot on a video camera or something. The lighting's terrible. It's really washed out. There's not a lot of reference. And what you can find is a lot of times it's distorted, or it's pixelated, or it's a scan of a magazine from whatever. There's not a lot to work with. So I had a real hard time kind of finding decent references to work with, and for the likenesses for the actors. And then you kind of have to do whatever. But my favorite part was working on the villains like Darkonda and Ecliptor. It was just fun drawing Power Ranger villains in the background, waving their arms around and being bad guys.
Lex Lang was amazing. He's like, oh my god. I was like, yeah. Cool.
Who?
Lex Lang, who played Ecliptor.
Oh, really? I don't know the actor's name who played him, but that's cool. Did he sign your mega print?
Yeah, he did. He signed it. Paul Schreier, who plays Bulk, he was like, we look so cool in this. I was like, yeah, you guys look great. And that was so great. He let me skip the line. I was like, hey, look at this. Because I know Paul. He's a great guy. I've known him for a good while prior to the Power Ranger scene. So, but yeah, he was like, we look like we're melting, but we look like action heroes too. And like he was just so hyped over it. It was great.
That's pretty cool. That's nice. I like hearing those stories. It's cool.
Oh yeah, no, your art has gone all over the world. People have just embraced it. I see it come up now. I just saw it the other day. Someone else tagged you in it, and I was like, "We're bored." Like it's resonated with people, and it's gone all over the world. And that's got to make you feel some sort of way.
Oh, it makes me feel great. It's to hear. One thing is I can say, okay, I've sold a few prints, or you talk to a few fans on Instagram or you whatever. But to hear it from you kind of gives me a different perspective. Like, wow, it really has reached other people, and other people really enjoy it, and it's bringing them pleasure, and you're having great conversations, and it's inspiring people. Like, that's great. What more could you want? And I'm just thrilled. I'm really gratified to hear that, and I'm grateful you're telling me these stories, because I wouldn't have thought of it that way, or I might not have known. So.
Oh no, I got the receipts on all of those. I mean, people just anytime I pull it out, I have it hidden away. Obviously, I'm still waiting. I need to hand it off for a final signature. That's why it's rolled away. Once it is done, I already know a place that can do the custom frame, and it's going in the office. I get an office space, so. Yeah, once we get past this COVID-ness, can people buy your prints now? I mean, for the holiday season, is there a place they can go?
There's prints. If you go on like you showed my Instagram page, there's a link. I have an Etsy store, and I have prints available there. And if you order print from me, I'll ship it to you. The mega print, you can only buy the set of 6 11x17s. I don't offer the full banner.
That's an exclusive.
Yeah, it is an exclusive. I haven't been able to find a printer that can get it to me, or I can get it produced at a cost-effective price point. That would be easy for people to get. So that's why I do the whole set as individuals. But once you mount it and put it on the wall, it's seamless. So
yeah,
like a banner.
So you would recommend people going to the Etsy shop, ArtStation as well?
ArtStation is more of a portfolio site, so you can see more of my professional work there. There is a store part of ArtStation, but I don't have a lot of prints there. I don't really. If you buy from Etsy, I receive more of the profits. You're getting it directly from me. I'm the guy who's printing it. I'm the guy who's shipping it. If you order it through ArtStation, it goes through a third party, and I might see 50 cents or something off of a print. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
If you want something autographed, I can sign it for you and ship it out.
Yeah, I like the Ninjor. That's cool.
Ninjor. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that character too. I just think he's funny and great, and that's one thing. If I went to a Power Morphicon, I would love to cosplay as Ninjor and just roll around the con.
I know. I know Garrett Wang. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, so he came out to a convention here in my town,
Yeah.
and so I made that print just for the convention, and
Mhm.
I got him to sign one, which was pretty cool, and got to meet him, and yeah, he's a nice guy. So several years ago at a different convention, a bunch of us Power Ranger fans got together and did a Forever Red cosplay team up.
Oh,
And he's a big Power Rangers fan too. So he came out and we got a big picture with him in the group, and that was a lot of fun.
you know what's funny is I got my start in Star Trek. Um, I was actually working with you remember Icheb from Voyager?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was writing entertainment blogs, and he was like, "Yo, you wrote about my project." I was like, "Yeah, you know, I've been following you. You know, you're a great guy, this and that." And he's the one who gave me his Facebook account and said, "I need you to grow this." And then when he started doing his project, he's like, "Hey, I want you to be a part of this. I need your marketing for this." So then I got to do a trailer for this project, and I got to see Chakotay, Robert Beltran on set, and Armin Shimmerman, which was great. So yeah, I thought I was going to be in Star Trek for a little while longer, and then it just kind of went to Power Rangers, and now it's more wrestling. It's kind of weird how
Yeah.
things have shifted, but yeah, I love this. I love that Garrett print is amazing.
Do you find the different fandoms have a different sort of vibe?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you would know better than me, but I find that like the Star Wars fans are kind of this way, and the Ranger fans are kind of that way, and the Star Trek fans they kind of do their thing, and um,
Yeah.
I find from a print perspective, like for making prints and an art perspective, um, they really do have their own way of relating to the fandom, like the community, and what they how they interact with and how they react to the artwork and whatever. It's kind of different. You think we're all fans of pop culture, but no, like Star Trek fans, this is how they do their fandom, and Power Ranger fans are very into their stuff in their own way as well. So
Star Trek is it's a little bit more out. Oh, gosh, yeah, it's interesting. Between the two, they're both crazy.
yeah,
um, and no disrespect. I mean, the Power Ranger fandom, they've been following me for a while too. So I got some really great support from them. But yeah, they're two very different animals. They perform very differently. It's crazy.
yeah, they have their own way of doing things, I guess, is a better way of putting it. So you kind of have to tread lightly, get to know how things are done and whatever, and that's more how it is. It's always interesting. I love meeting fans too that kind of cross over. They'll have their Gandalf costume, but they'll also be wearing a Star Trek communicator and they'll be doing their thing. You meet them, and yeah, that's one thing I miss about conventions. I seeing people dress up and do their thing, and I used to do the Calgary show all the time, and my buddy Owen would come out and help me run the booth. And it was great because his nerd foo was better than mine. So he'd be able to tell me, I'd be like, well, what is that person supposed to be? Oh, that's blah, blah, blah from blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't know, but there would always be like one guy who would just show up and he'd be in character as Ace Ventura. And you couldn't have a normal conversation with him. Or, one time I was at a show and there was a couple cosplaying as Aragorn and Arwen from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And every time they came to an intersection in the convention floor, and you know how these convention floors are, they're huge, right?
Yeah.
So every time they came to an intersection, they would stop and recreate a kiss moment from the movie. So
That's great.
yeah, it was funny. But they kind of ruled it near the end of the show. The guy was walking around with a portal gun and a bunch of bags of merch, and kind of ruined the effect. But they still did it, and
It's
I thought
funny.
that was pretty fun. They're just having a good time.
Aww. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
Well, you showed some links there. My Instagram page. I don't know if you can put links in the description here.
I
better.
definitely.
MikePerryArt.com is my website. I also have an ArtStation profile, and yeah, Facebook, Instagram, social media. You can find me there. And don't be confused. There's another Mike Perry who does art, and if you Google my name, he'll come up first. He's a Brooklyn artist, and he's very well known. His stuff's totally different. It's more like design and shoe patterns and totally different stuff. Definitely not pop culture, but yeah, he's got a beard, glasses. It's weird when you Google my name, a bunch of Mike Perry show up. It's a pretty common name, but Mike Perry Art, he'll come up first. Don't be confused. And then if you're looking for me, my stuff is MikePerryArt.com.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm honored that you accepted the invitation.
Oh, anytime. This was great fun, and I'm happy to do it again.
Yes, and we will totally support you. We actually are creating a Christmas holiday guide, so people it's a shopping guide. So we're encouraging people to shop with entrepreneurs we've met via our show. So you'll be also featured in that guide here soon.
Great. That sounds really great. I look forward to hearing from anyone who's interested in my work.
Absolutely. We should encourage everyone to support small businesses and entrepreneurs, because like we said at the beginning, it's on us. There is no safety net.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining in, and I guess thank you. We'll see you in the next show.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.